It's time for Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network with your host, Doug Engler.
Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Casey Creations. For all of your artwork, cosplay, and cosplay accessory needs, check out www.kaycreations.weebly.com or search Casey Creations on Etsy. We're also brought to you tonight by HomeCircleMedia.com for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Check out HomeCircleMedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Doug Engler, and we are excited tonight as we welcome back a couple friends of ours, very talented cosplaying twin duo, Hatake and Sahara. And our original guest, Jessica Kavanaugh, had to reschedule. She ended up getting booked in a play, so congratulations to her. We hope that the play goes amazingly well. She has rescheduled with us, so we are excited about that. She will be rejoining us on June 24th, so we're excited about getting her in June. She's also going to be joining us May 27th for our My Hero Academia special, so definitely you want to tune in for that show as well. Like I said, I'm your host, Doug Engler, and we are excited tonight. Going to talk a little bit on something different. Next week, we are going, my wife and daughter and I and my mom are all going to a cat show in the Boston area next weekend. And it's funny to be talking about that on an anime pop culture related show, partially because I've never been to a cat show. I don't think any of us have ever been to a cat show other than my mom. I think my mom has cat lovers. We have a cat ourselves. My mom has cats. My whole family has cats. So it had me thinking about cats and anime. And when you look at anime, a lot of shows have cats or some form of the feline family in the show. There's tigers. There's when you look through everything going back, like Sailor Moon, you have Luna and Artemis. You've got Kyo as a cat in, I think it's Kyo in Fruits Basket. Going through, we have Chi Sweet Home, there's Babu and Sankareya, there's Happy and Carla and all the other X-Seeds and Fairy Tail, all the way up through, there's, I think it's Kohaku is the name of the white tiger in Another World with My Smartphone. So cats have played a big role in anime throughout the years. And I was looking through for lists of different cats in anime, and some of them I've heard of, some of them I hadn't heard of. I found a list on my anime list of what they consider to be the top 20 cute anime cats. And of course, leading the list is Chi from Chi Sweet Home, who we mentioned because she is just absolutely adorable. Happy and Carla from Fairy Tail. Madara from Natsume's Book of Friends. I haven't seen that show yet. Sakamoto from Nichiyuju. I'm sure I mispronounced that. It's a black cat with a red handkerchief. Kind of a cute little mischievous looking thing. I haven't seen that one. Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. Of course, Luna and Artemis from Sailor Moon series. Jibanyan from Yokai Watch. Yokai Watch. Kuro from Blue Exorcist. That's a cat with two tails. Tama from Saze-san. I've never even heard of that show, but it's a little white cat with a red collar and a bell. Kaminiko from Azumanga Daioh. The little blackish gray cat that a girl reaches down to pet, and that cat has big sharp teeth, opens its jaw, and bites her hand. Panyo from Puyo Puyo Kansatsu Nikki. God, some of these names are unbelievable. Boyo from Inuyasha. Of course, there's also Kirara in Inuyasha. You have Takun from Fooly Cooly, which was a little black kitten that was found by the water, as well as many, many others. So it was kind of neat to go through and look at all the different cats that were on there. Other characters that are, they have the cat women, including Blair, who was the cat witch from Soul Eater. You have Aries and all the other characters from Katia in Cat Planet Cuties. You've got, why can't I think of the name? I just blanked. And I was just talking about her earlier. I will find it. Cyan from Show by Rock, which is Bryn's character. Bryn April will be joining us next week. We're excited to have her back on the show. So cats have been a big factor in the anime world for a while, and it's kind of neat to see the history and the list of all the different cats that have been involved in anime, and not just Japanese anime, but even the American cartoons. There was plenty of cats that have appeared in the shows, including, growing up in my childhood, I can remember Garfield and Heathcliff and Tom and Jerry, and even some of the movies that have come out. You have Rita from Animaniacs. You've got Pussyfoot and Looney Tunes. You've got what's his name? Puss in Boots and Shrek, and Oliver from Oliver and Company in a Disney film, and the Nyan Cat, and Hello Kitty. But according to one of the references I was looking at, it said a special note on Hello Kitty. In 2014, Scenario announced that Hello Kitty is not a cat. She is a cartoon character. She is a little girl. She is a friend, but she is not a cat. She's never depicted on all fours. She walks and sits like a two-legged creature. She does have a pet cat of her own, however, and it's called Charmy Kitty. The Charmy Kitty is a cat. So it's a little side note, but people still will call Hello Kitty a cat. I don't care what they say. That's gonna go on forever. And found on Wikipedia they had an incomplete list of all the cats' names through cartoons, and it's a list of all the fictional characters from animated TV shows and film. And included in that is like Azrael from the Smurfs. There was a cat named Beans in a show called Merry Melodies. Beerus in the Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. Beans apparently was an early colleague of Porky Pig. So that's an interesting one. And I could see that. Porky Pig and Beans. Good God. I'm not going to say anything. Cat from Cat Dog, that was another one. You had Ren and Stimpy, where Ren was supposedly a cat-like creature, I believe. So many cats have taken place in the anime genre. It's neat to kind of go and look at. And if there are any out there that I'm missing, come on over to the chat room, because I know there's so many cat characters out there, and I can't name them all, because there are plenty of shows I haven't seen that I'm sure have a cat character in them somewhere. But come on over to blogtalkradio.com and /Anime-Zing Radio. Find us there. Come on into the chat room. Hang out. I love seeing the people come into the chat. Hello to the guests that are in there listening. Thank you to everybody out there who's tuned in via mobile app. If you can't come over to the chat room, find us on Facebook and shoot us messages. I love to interact with the fans during the shows. I love to see the fans interact with the guests. It's always exciting for me, and I know it's exciting for the guests to have interaction from the people out there listening. It's important to everybody to be able to be a part of, stuff that we enjoy. We love the anime genre. We love the pop culture genre. Whether you're a fan of anime or comics or cosplay, artwork, musicians, things of that nature, ties in here. And I had a memory from 4 years ago talking about how I had a whole list of people that I wanted to thank for having had an honor to chat with, and it was broken up between voice actors and artists and musicians and cosplayers, and it was a very small list. And in the last 4 years, that list has grown unbelievably large. And I mentioned in my post on Facebook that don't think I could sit down and honestly be able to thank every person who I've had the honor of meeting or talking to on the show or seeing at conventions or just so many awesome people that I've had the opportunity to meet throughout these last 4 years of Anime-Zing Radio, and my wife is sending me messages and getting me to laugh at a picture of a cat, and I think that's supposed to be 02 from Darling in the Franxx. And like they're both making the same face. It's like I wonder if they used that cat for inspiration for the face that 02 is making. And that's an interesting show in and of itself, going off on a side trip here. Darling in the Franxx, I didn't realize that I was getting as wrapped up into the show as I am. And it really wasn't made apparent to me how much I enjoyed the show until Anime Boston, when I ended up buying 3 different prints from the show, 2 on 02 and one of Ichigo, one of the other main characters. And I'm so happy to see that it's a 24 episode anime, because after 12 episodes, they could not leave that where they left it. And here I am thinking that, oh man, they're only 12 episode series, and it's kind of neat to see the transition of how many different shows range between a 12 episode season. Some are 13, some go 24 episodes for the season, and some of them just continue and go on forever, like Dragon Ball Z or Fairy Tail, although I know Fairy Tail has an end. Dragon Ball series, I don't think ends. I think that's going to continue for another 20 years, for all we know. I don't know if Bleach or One Piece or Naruto is still going, but I know those went on forever. Inuyasha was 161 episodes, and it's tough for me with my work schedule to be able to stay following a series when it's so many episodes, because there are so many good shows out there that I want to try to keep up on a lot of the new stuff that come out, and some of the older stuff. I need to go back through and catch up on My Hero Academia. We want to get we're a little behind in the middle of season 2, and I know season 3 just came out, so no spoilers for me on that. But I'm gonna be using this month leading up to our My Hero Academia special, trying to catch up on all the shows that I'm behind on. And so we're going to enjoy that. The My Hero Academia special, we are excited because we do have 3 voice actors, 3 wonderfully talented voice actors who are going to join us for that show on May 27th. And that includes Morgan Berry, who voices 13, who is one of the teachers, Jessica Kavanaugh, who is the mother of the main character, and Anthony Bowling. And I don't think I've seen his character yet, but I know Anthony was in that, so we're excited to have the 3 of them joining us. We do have messages out to a few of the other cast from My Hero Academia, and it would be wonderful to get them on to chat about it if we could get them, but fingers crossed. Keep pay attention to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Anime-Zing Radio. We will update the schedule with everybody that we have as it goes, any changes to the schedule, and we are happy to say that we are booked out going into July now, so lots of great stuff going on. June 10th, as a special note, we will not have a live show. We will be at KidsCon that weekend. If I do decide to do a live show, it may just be a short 1-hour review of KidsCon. Nothing extremely special. We may have a guest or maybe somebody who was at KidsCon calling in to give their point of view of how the convention went. We went to KidsCon last year and had a great time. We were vendors there. The kids were adorable. The cosplays were absolutely outstanding. And some shows you go to and you want to make money. There are some shows you go to just for try to make connections. Then there are some shows that you go to as a vendor just because it's an awesome experience to go to and be a part of. And KidsCon is one of those places. And I'm not saying that you can't make money or you shouldn't go trying to make money if you're a vendor or an artist or something of that nature, but you should go to KidsCon and support Emily and everything that she does with KidsCon, because to see the looks on these kids' faces when they can walk up and meet Spider-Man or Batman or their favorite anime character or Disney princess or things of that nature, it's just, it's priceless. When and you can see like some of the parents, they may not fully understand the Comic Con world, and Emily has done a wonderful job. Her and her staff has done a wonderful job of putting together Kids Con, and this is going into their third year. It's going to be up in Nashua, New Hampshire on June 10th, and we're honored to be a part of that. We're actually going to have Emily on May 6th to talk more about Kids Con and what we can expect from the convention on May 6th, like I said. So we're excited to have her joining us and talking more about KidsCon and everything that's going on. That's going to be our next planned convention for vending in June or in July. I know that we have Kineticon that we're going to be press at, and it's going to be awesome to go hang out at Kineticon again. It's our third or fourth year as press for Kineticon. And I'm trying to pull up the website for Kineticon right now, and because I know they have a lot of great guests that have been announced already. It's very Sailor Moon heavy for guests, and I'm pulling that up now if it wants to work. On their website, it only says Susan Roman, who is best known for the voice acting role of Sailor Jupiter in Sailor Moon. And I know that she has, or Kineticon's got many other guests who are supposed to be coming. Because I have gotten the emails from them about the list of guests who have been coming, but the only one they have posted on the site so far is Susan Roman. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to wait to see who else gets announced. But Kineticon is going to be July 12th through 15th in Hartford, Connecticut. It's a fun time. We've enjoyed going there the last few years. There's always a lot going on. It's a 4-day convention. I just wish that we could go more than just 3 of the days, or more than just one day, I should say. Maybe next year or in the future we can look into that, but my work schedule is horrible, and trying to get time off is a pain in the butt. We are excited, however, to be officially going to Plattsburgh Comic-Con and Vermont Comic-Con this year, so that's going to be a lot of fun in September and August. So definitely good stuff to look good stuff to look forward to coming up through the rest of the seasons here in the summer. And like I said, our guests tonight are going to be Hatake and Sahara, a pair of wonderful cosplayers, amazingly talented duo, twin brothers who have been friends of ours now for many years, and just they're great people to talk to. They're great people to hang out with. Very talented at making their fursuits and the cosplays, and they like to do the full body armor cosplays. They were at Anime Boston and competed in the Masquerade, so we'll find out more about how that went, how their Anime Boston experience was. You usually can find them at a lot of New England area conventions, including AAC they've been to multiple years, Anime Boston. I think they went to Bakuretsu Con a couple years ago. I'm not sure if they have ventured out. We'll find out more from them in just a few minutes when we have them joining us live here on the show. So many people try to distract me when I'm on the show. It's great. And looking at birthdays, I know that there were quite a few birthdays that have passed through this week. And we want to throw a happy birthday out to our friends Samantha Hart, Edward Boy. Looking through, our friend Taylor has got a birthday coming up. You may know her as Chiho. I've called her our little Chiho friend who works here locally at McDonald's. Um, Morgan Berry's got a birthday coming up this week, so happy birthday to Morgan. Coming up later in April, Richard Epcar has got a birthday, and that's it for April. And then coming up in May, there's a lot of birthdays here in May. Let's see who, but we're gonna have a show before that. But I like just going through and some of the people that we've been friends with and who have joined us on the show, including Caitlin French has got a birthday coming up in early May. Julie Dennehy, who has been a friend of ours, and we've worked with her through Northeast Comic Con and from King Richard's Fair, has a birthday coming up in May as well. So happy birthday to everybody. Happy birthday to you if your birthday falls this week. One of the reasons I'm a little scatterbrained tonight is we just got back about an hour ago from a belated birthday dinner for my wife and myself. Our birthdays are about 2 weeks apart, and so due to my family's busy, hectic work schedule, we were finally able to get everybody together for the birthday dinner tonight. And so big, it was fun to see everybody and hang out, and thank you to everybody back earlier this month who sent birthday wishes to me, and everybody who sent birthday wishes to my wife last month. I can talk honest, and God, the show hasn't even run the first half hour, and I'm already flubbing up. Gotta love live radio. We are excited, like I said, tonight. We have Hatake and Sahara, who will be joining us in just a few moments, be coming up right after the commercial break. And I go through Facebook to see what friends are doing, and of course the first thing that comes up is a cat video from Marissa Lenti. She loves the cat videos. I don't know if it's her cat that the video is of playing, but the theme of tonight has been cats. Oh my God. And big thank you, of course, to everybody who's been a part of AZR's history in the last 4 years. I know I've said this before, but I want to thank everybody who has been a fan of the show. If you've tuned in just once or you tune in every week, I want to thank you. If you've been a guest on the show, a producer, even somebody who has helped boost confidence with kind words, or we've crossed paths and you've listened to me ramble about anime. I thank you for helping make Anime-Zing Radio as good of a show as it is, and I want to continue to try to make it even better and do that without your help. So feel free to contact us through our Facebook page at facebook.com/Anime-Zing Radio, and let us know what you think of the show. If you have any ideas for guests, if you have certain subjects you want us to try to cover on the show, if you have certain animes that you want us to focus on, feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. At AZR on Blog Talk is our Twitter. Instagram is Anime-Zing Radio. You can also follow us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Just search Anime-Zing Radio. It's been a little bit late, but we've just got the AAC video up from the footage that we got up at AAC last year. I know it was quite a few months in waiting to get up, but after having a baby and everything, things have just been crazily hectic for my wife and myself, and we're happy to finally get that up. We're also planning on getting a couple of shows up on YouTube, including our Devil is a Part-Timer special and our Keijo special. We've just got to get those transferred over so that they can get put up on YouTube channel as well. We have to go to our bottom of the hour break, but when we come back, we're going to be joined by Hatake and Sahara, RK, amazing cosplayers, good friends of ours, so stay tuned for more Anime-Zing Radio.
This is Jerry Jewell, and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio on Blog Talk Radio.
And welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Doug Engler. We are excited tonight because we are joined by two amazing cosplayers who we are honored enough to call our friends. These two gentlemen have done some amazing cosplays, have won multiple masquerades for their work, and we are honored to have them joining us again tonight with Hatake and Sahara Cosplay. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hi. Hi, and thank you.
And we were talking a little bit during the commercial break that my wife likes to try to distract me by making noises, sending me random things on Facebook. So if I should get a little scatterbrained tonight, I blame her. And Hatake and Sahara know my wife as well, so they can blame her too.
Is that how it's going to work tonight?
Possibly. But I want to thank you guys for joining us. For our listeners out there who may be new to the show and haven't listened to any of the past shows that you've been a part of, tell everybody a little bit about yourselves.
I go by the name Hatake when it comes to cosplay, and I am been cosplaying since 2007 and have been making my own cosplay probably since, 2010, and competing since 2014, I want to say. And Sahara and I are twin brothers, so I'll let Sahara talk to him.
Yeah, so I go by Sahara. I'm a wildlife biologist by trade, cosplayer for fun and hobby. I've been attending anime conventions for over 13 years. Been cosplaying since 2007, making my own cosplay since 2010, and competing since 2014. Sounds about right.
To doing the cosplay and making your own suits. I know we've talked in the past about that you find that you prefer like full body gear and things like that. At Anime Boston this year, you guys were talking about how you are so done with wiring because what you competed in was a full bodied suit that had a ton of LED lights. Is that something that's fun for you to create or just kind of tedious?
So one of the things we actually get asked a lot is why do we choose to make the most complicated things we can possibly think of at the time? And that pretty much feeds into this, is we both enjoy a challenge, and doing these armored suits and fursuits and all the electrical wiring and things, none of it is anything that we learned how to do growing up. We're learning as we make these outfits, and so that creates a challenge for us. And since we love doing things that are complicated and challenging and constantly challenge ourselves, we enjoy doing that. It is definitely tedious. The outfit for this past Anime Boston, the one I was wearing was Barnaby Brooke Jr.'s hero suit from Tiger and Bunny. So that's a full body armor. On top of that, I had, I don't know how many LEDs. I had LEDs in the elbows, in the wrists, in the knees, the thighs, the chest, the abs. I had LEDs running all over the place, which is something that I've done before. I've used LEDs before in other outfits, but I've never used a single power supply that runs to all my limbs. So that was something new that I took for a challenge. Sahara, you have anything to add to that?
Everything we do, it is self-taught, and we like learning, and we like doing these things. It's just what ends up happening is we end up doing a build, like spending 3 months on a build. All of our free time goes to it, so we're just usually like wiped by the time we're done.
And to add to that, like these outfits that we make, because of our work schedule and our time frame, we only make 2 to 3 a year maximum. And a lot of times they're getting, like, we test fit everything, obviously, before we go to a convention, but they're not getting worn and walked around in for long periods of time. So your first real test run of these outfits may be competition day at a convention. So you're trying to make sure that everything stays put together right and isn't wearing and there's no paint rubbing off, while at the same time going, oh, I made this arm bracelet a little too tight, or where I put one of these snaps isn't quite right, so it keeps rotating. So we're learning about the outfits we made while we're at convention as well, and trying to rig them sometimes, in some cases, we have definitely gone back to our hotel room and re-rigged something before heading back down for competition. So that adds another challenge to it. So it can be an exhausting weekend, and that's probably why we said that.
And knowing that the quality of stuff that you guys have produced, I say that with nothing but the most utmost respect, because I've seen a lot of the suits that you guys have created, and they are absolutely amazing, especially Anime Boston, like you said, with all the LED lights and stuff that you had worked on. I think a lot of people can benefit from learning from what you guys have done. Do you run into other cosplayers who have questions for you or ask advice on stuff?
Well, thank you for saying our outfits are high quality. We appreciate that. We are definitely harsh critics on ourselves. Yeah, anytime we're stopped for pictures, no matter what outfits we're in, we're typically asked, how did we make this? Or what types of materials did we use? Or how long did it take us? And if we have time, which a lot of times we do lately, we will definitely stand there and chat for a few minutes and let them know how we made our outfit, or how long it took, or what tools we used, or what material we used, or why we did something a certain way. Because sometimes, in order to make an item work in reality, you have to modify it a little bit, because physics just aren't the same as anime.
Right. And one of the things that's really nice about the competitive cosplayer culture is everybody's always trying to learn from each other. So, we have other competitors who are our grade, lower than our grade, higher than our grade, asking us, how did we do this? How did we do that? What's our opinion on this? And we're getting feedback from them and asking them, the same types of questions, so that we're learning and constantly improving.
And that's one thing that I find fun about, the anime conventions, because there's so many different things that you can do at an anime, or even now the comic conventions, where they have the different panels, and then they have the guests who are there for autographs, and even a lot of local Comic Cons are having cosplay contests. It may not be on the same grand scale as a lot of anime conventions, but they still have a nice cosplay contest. People can still show up with what they've created, and I know Vermont has a kids cosplay contest on one day and adults on the next day, and a few other shows have cosplay contests that they run as well, but some of them are just judged by the attendees, some are judged by actual cosplay judges and whatnot. Do you find it interesting to see how far the cosplay culture has grown in the last few years? It seems with the explosion in conventions, and it just might be that now I'm looking for it, so I see it more, but it seems like people are more comfortable dressing up for a convention, as opposed to where old-fashioned thinking is, you only dress up in costumes on Halloween here in the U.S., as opposed to now you can just dress up at any given weekend and go to a convention to be your favorite superhero, anime character, movie character, and so on and so forth.
It's definitely something that has changed over the years, and I know that there have been like Star Trek conventions and Star Wars conventions and things going on for much longer than anime and comic conventions were. And I personally haven't been to any sci-fi conventions, but I do know that there's always been a stereotype with going to conventions and dressing up as characters and things. And since I've been going, I started going to conventions when I was in high school. It was something, the first time I dressed up, I was really nervous about it, because here I am dressing up in an outfit as something from an anime series, which at that time anime was not popular in the United States. It was just starting to become popular. So you're worried about what other people are going to think of you and all of that. And over the years, I've started seeing more people cosplaying at conventions, started seeing a massive increase in the complexity of cosplay. Started seeing a lot more technology introduced. You start seeing all of these really well-known cosplayers like Yaya Han, Jessica Nigri, Kamui Cosplay, Bill Duran of Punish Props, even Adam Savage have started streaming their cosplay creations online and giving tutorials and advice on how to do things. And so I've seen that change happen just in the last, 5-6 years. It's become even more popular than it was, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's great. I think America needs to continue to accept that, and this idea of you only dress up for Halloween. Sure, that's Halloween's fun and all, but it's a completely different idea than what cosplay is.
Definitely is, and I agree with you that especially in the last 4 or 5 years, the amount of cosplayers has increased, the amount of talent that's out there. I didn't know about Adam Savage. I knew Adam Savage enjoyed cosplay, but I didn't know that he started streaming builds and things of that nature. But it's neat to hear that because growing up, I was a fan of MythBusters, and so I always enjoyed Adam and his craziness on that show. I think anybody who enjoys building things or destroying things loved MythBusters.
That's for sure.
And I still consider myself to be fairly new to cosplaying. I don't create anything of my own. I either buy it from somebody else or my wife will make it. We have ideas that we want to try to set in motion for Anime Boston next year. We're planning on attending Anime Boston as attendees, and it's probably going to be the first time in like 2 years that we have gone to a convention, not to vend, not to go as press, not to check it out for future vending, but just to go and have fun, because it's been almost 2 years since we've last done that.
Yeah. Now with us with competing and whatnot, it's always nice to go to a convention, particularly if it's one you haven't been to before, or even one that you've gone to for a long time, to every once in a while just stop and go, not as a competitor, not as a vendor, not as press, and just actually enjoy the time.
And it's got to be a fun feeling for you. My wife was making me laugh in the other room. Good God. It's got to be fun for you when you do go to a convention, not to compete, but just show up in one of your older outfits that you've created just to walk around, have fun in, nostalgia. Some people know you, especially from your Star Fox costumes, and you've had some interesting experiences in those, including, was it Josh Gurley who wanted to get a picture of you guys?
Yes. Yeah, Josh Grill, awesome. He's one of my favorite voice actors, and he grew up playing Star Fox on Nintendo 64, and he saw us it was the year we competed with those outfits.
Yes.
And he grabbed us in the dealer's room and wanted to take his picture with us, and that was just so awesome.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And Josh is a great guy. We've had him on the show a couple of times, and we actually got to chat with him a little bit at Anime Boston this year because he had a autograph table set up in the dealer's room, so we were able to go down and get a couple of things signed, including our Devil is a Part-Timer DVD. And that was important to me to get signed because he was so gracious as Satan to join us when we did our special last December. I know, and thinking of that timing now, we're December, Christmas, celebrating all that good stuff, all the religious stuff related to Christmas, and I do a Devil is a Part-Timer special, and I have Satan on the show. That's the time. Sometimes you look back at things and go, "Oh my God, the timing couldn't be better, worse, or funnier," depending on the situation. And but Josh is an awesome guy. I'm so happy that we had a chance to chat with him, got a few things signed by him. I got a selfie with him, which we didn't get a selfie with him when we saw him at AAC a few years ago. In fact, I think the last time that we had seen Josh was before Leanne and I had gotten married. We had just started to announce that we were getting married at the time that we saw him.
Wow.
So that was 2016. I think October 2016 was the last time we had seen him before AB. Now, with Anime Boston, you guys were competing in the Masquerade. We got to see you as you were, preparing to go for judging and everything. How was your experience with the Masquerade at Anime Boston this year?
The so from a competitive perspective, Anime Boston always does a fantastic job with the Masquerade. They are very focused on the competitors, making sure everyone is well hydrated. A lot of times they have snacks that they're handing out to all of us. They bring us in. There's always lots of pep talks. The communication leading up to the convention by the Masquerade coordinators are really good. They have two outstanding Masquerade coordinators. They always have high quality judges. And they've had many different judges over the years since we've been competing. Some of them we see are the same judges every year. It's really cool because they recognize us. The coordinators, the staffers, the judges, they recognize us, which sometimes makes it a little bit harder because they're comparing to what you did last time. But yeah, so from a competitive perspective, I think Anime Boston is one of the best places to compete at as far as that goes. They always do a great job with that. The Masquerade this year was interesting. Yeah, it was a little different, not only because of how they put it on, because they had a musical guest performing at it, so there was like heightened security, and they wanted everybody in super early. It was the first time since 2008 that they had staff skits. Yeah, which are always fun to see. But it was also a little different for us and a little bit more stressful for us. We partnered with an amazing cosplayer who goes by Madeline Lee, and she's a master level cosplayer, and she asked us 2 intermediate level cosplayers to join her. And so we were a little bit more stressed out about our quality. A little bit more nitpicking. The group was great. She was great to work with. And then also what was a little stressful was judging was a lot behind schedule. Judging was way behind schedule. So we ended up being like one of the last people, and they were on such a short time crunch that we had very, very little time to actually go in and explain. And I'm someone who I usually freeze up in like the first minute or two trying to figure out how I'm going to explain what I did, and it was just done so fast. It was good. It's not unusual for judging to be behind schedule at any convention. And so it was that case here, and it was a whirlwind of talking because in this case, we had 5 judges. So you're talking to different judges at different points, and you're trying to remember who you told what, and they're trying to figure out what everything is and how you did it. And so that it was a little more stressful in the judging room this year, but I think that was mostly also because we were competing in Master Division. We were competing at a higher division than we normally do. But the judges were great. They're there, they talk to you, they try to help you unfreeze, and one of the judges has judged us multiple times. She recognized us right away, made joking comments to me about the fact I wasn't in a fursuit for once. But yeah. We have a great time competing at Anime Boston, and the other thing too is in the New England area, a lot of people who compete at the same conventions. So you'll see them at Baku, you'll see them at AAC. Some of them go to Anime-Zing. They all go to Anime Boston. Some go to Kineticon. So you see the same people every year, and so you get to talk to other people who are competing. And sometimes they've bumped up a level since you've last seen them, and it's just fun to see other competitors that you may have last seen 6 months ago at a previous a competition where you were competing against each other, and here you are again competing against each other, talking about, hey, your outfit looks great. How'd you make that? Oh, how'd you make this? Good to see you. You know, all sorts of fun stuff too.
I think that's one side of the convention scene that a lot of people who don't frequent the conventions understand, is that you kind of develop a friendship and a family with other convention goers, whether you're just like coming from a dealer's alley or artist alley point of view. We get to see a lot of other artists, and we've become friends with quite a few of them. So we go to a convention, it's like, hey, we haven't seen you in 2-3 months since XXCon. And, you know, like, Anime Boston, we knew probably 8 to 10 artists that were between Artist Alley and had dealers room stuff. And last year at Anime Boston, we probably knew 6 of them. So it increased through the year. And so we go to a Comic Con, and like we'll go to Vermont Comic Con, we'll probably see Karen Gosselin, Rusty Gilligan, Jay Moores, Michaela Krantz, the Lundbergs. There were probably like 4 other artists that we knew at Vermont Comic Con last year, and like 5 of us were in the same row. So when we were there setting up on Saturday morning, it was a big hug fest because it's, hey, we haven't seen you in so long. How are you doing? So it's probably a similar feel as a competitor when you're getting ready for the masquerade, that you're running into people you've become friends with through competition in previous years, whether it be earlier in the same year or Anime Boston the year before, or whichever show that you guys have attended.
Yeah, it's always great to see people that you've competed with, because it is interesting, because you do sort of form this friendship even though you're trying to beat each other.
Yeah, it's also funny what triggers you to recognize someone.
Yeah, like because a lot of times you're in outfits, so you have no idea what anyone really looks
people
like.
are in makeup and outfits or whatnot, so you just start like randomly talking to someone. It's like, oh, that voice, or you, or they're like ask a question like, you're the twin, you did the Digimon, and we'll be like, yeah, we did, and they're like, I did the shadowing, oh, type deal.
Yeah, the twin thing kind of gives us away.
I could understand that. We've got to go to our top of the hour break. I can't believe that 25 minutes has gone by so quick already. But when we come back, we're going to have more fun with Hatake and Sahara and chatting more about conventions, cosplay, randomness. So stay tuned for more Anime-Zing Radio right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network.
This is Yuzuru Yamai from Data Live, and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio.
And welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Doug Engler. We are excited tonight because we have cosplayer extraordinaires Hatake and Sahara RK. We want to thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we're having fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to come on the show. Yeah, thanks for having us.
And I remember way back, I think it was AAC like 3.5 years ago, was the first time that we actually met and chatted. And I had asked about you guys coming on the show, and you both were kind of something. Since then, I know, Sahara, you weren't much of a talker at first, but you've warmed up to being on the air quite a bit since then.
A little bit. I'm definitely more of the shy one between the two of us, but yeah.
And I remember, was it Anthony Bowling? You were the guest co-host on that show, and he was having some fun with you?
Yep. And I was on call for bear nuisance.
And so I thank you for coming on as one of our guest co-hosts in the past. And I enjoy bringing people on to guest co-host for different shows and stuff like that. As being a guest on the show, how much different was it to sit in the co-host seat as opposed to being asked the questions?
It's definitely very different because you're trying to think to come up with a question to ask. I can't ask a stupid question. And not wanting to interrupt you and wanting to give him enough time to answer things. Yeah, it was. And then what made it a little bit more complicated was I was also on call for work that night, and I knew there was a problem bear in the area, so I was also like constantly checking to see if I was getting any messages from work to deal with that. But yeah, it was it's quite a bit different than being a guest and not worrying about coming up with questions.
And because we've talked in person about how I do the show and how I have no set questions, I have no set game plan. Typically, it's okay. I know who the guest is. I know stuff about them. Like with us, we've become good friends over the past 3+ years. We know about the cosplaying side of things, and we've talked about a bunch of different topics. When it comes to voice actors, it's you know a lot about the roles that they've done and things like that. I have got 2 cosplayers coming up, one in May and one in June, who I only met in person at Anime Boston this year.
Wow.
And one of them is Sailor Scone, and this young lady I chased down. I ran from behind the table to the aisle and chased her 4 tables down the next group of Artist Alley tables because they were cosplaying from Show by Rock, and it was a character I've never seen anybody cosplay before. And for the life of me, I can't remember the name, so I've got to pull up the Show by Rock cast so I can do that. And the other person I have become friends with via Instagram. Finally got to meet her in person after talking with her through Instagram, and that's Momochi Cosplay. And she has done a lot of great costumes as well. And I'm trying to see. I don't know if you are familiar with either of them by their cosplay name or not.
I feel like I've heard Momochi before.
I feel like I've heard Momochi's name before. I'm not super sure on that. There's so many cosplayers.
Yeah. Sailor Scone was cosplaying Suzuo, who is Vic Mignogna's character from Show by Rock. So blonde hair, very pretty boyish, had the guitar and everything. It was like, oh my God, I have to run this person down. And I credit my wife because I've shown her a picture, quite a few of the pictures of Momochi cosplay that she's posted on her Instagram. She does Sue from My Hero Academia. She's the Frog Witch and Soul Eater. She does so many other amazing cosplays as well. And she was in her Soul Eater cosplay, and that's how my wife pointed her out, and I'm like, and I called out, I was like, Momochi, can I get a photo? And she turns around and she looks, she's like, how do you know who I am? I'm like, I follow you on Instagram. At that point, I feel like a creeper. until I tell her who I am and that we've actually talked and she remembered me, then I don't feel so bad. Because sometimes when you, especially being, in your late 30s, early 40s, and you're going to anime conventions covering as press, and you're taking photos of cosplayers, and sometimes you're like, I want to be professional. I don't want people to think I'm a creeper or a perv or anything of that nature, because it's so easy for that to happen at conventions. How do you guys deal with people asking for photographs? Do you sometimes question motives behind it, or is it just, hey, this is cool, people are enjoying what we're doing?
I would say about 90%, 95% of photo ops with us, it's someone's coming by and they go, I really like your outfit, can I have a photo of you? Or they call out the character we're portraying and go, can I get your photo? And that, I have no issues with it.
Part of it's also the type of cosplay we do where, one, we're male, but it's also always full body, full mask. I've never, I don't think once questioned anyone's motive behind it.
There's been a couple times where people joking around wanted video of us doing something stupid, but that's one of those things where it's like, all right, I know they're doing this because they think it's funny. They're making a video of cosplayers doing some stupid hand sign or whatever. Sometimes I'll play along with it. Sometimes I'll just be like, nah. But yeah, as far as photo ops go, I've never had any issue with it.
Right, and we very, very rarely have ever turned any down, and it's usually because
we're running late.
We're running late to a competition.
Now, for any cosplayers out there who are listening to the show live right now or are listening to it in the future through podcast form, what advice can you give to them about preparing for a competition, whether they're entering novice level, intermediate, expert? What's some of the best advice you can give to cosplayers out there?
Don't be afraid to experiment with different things. There's a lot of different materials out there. Some are expensive, some are cheap, and sometimes the cheap stuff works better. Even if you don't hear other people using that type of material, one of the things that people talk about a lot is Warbler. Warbler is a great material. It's also really expensive, and you can do similar work just with foam. But preparing for a competition, really study your character. Make sure you have good prints of to use as reference. Get comfortable talking about your outfit. Kind of run, and this is stuff that I could do too, because I know all this stuff and I start freeze, and Hatake helps me out quite a bit. But it's like try explaining to in a mirror or to someone you're close with, what you've done with your outfit, because you're gonna have to do that with the judges, and you have a very limited amount of time.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is, don't be afraid. Don't be scared to try competing. The competition community, those who compete in cosplay, are all very, very friendly. I've never met anyone in competition who was anything other than friendly. Every judge we've ever had is always super supportive. The first time we competed, we were nervous and we didn't know half of what we were talking about, and they were like, "Don't worry, just relax." And they'd ask us questions, and we described how they did it, and then they would tell us what that technique is called, so that we would know in the future. And that was awesome, having judges tell you that. The other thing I would say, and this is a bit of more of a letdown note, but when you compete, you're competing in a category that probably has 10 or 20 people in it. And if you're also competing across the whole category for best craftsmanship or performance or whatever. And you're not always going to win, and that's not a bad thing. We have definitely won and we have lost, and you learn either way. And it's one of those things of, I just personally think, don't go in expecting to win and then being upset because you didn't, because chances are you're not going to win your first time.
And the other thing with the staffer and the judges, be honest with them. Tell them, if you're nervous, the staffers are great. They're sit with you. They'll give you pep talks. They're just sit and chat with you to try to make you more comfortable. You can ask them questions about what it's your first time. What should they expect in judging and whatnot. And the judges, just go in and chat with them.
Pretty much be honest. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. That's what it comes down to.
Now, when it comes to some of the shows that are out now, like I know the type of cosplays that you guys enjoy doing, and knowing some of the other cosplayers that we've become friends with, I watch a show and be like, oh, I think this person could cosplay that character, or even look for potential future cosplays for myself. And having finally gotten through season 3 of High School DxD and seeing D-Drag in its true full form, is that seeing the red dragon and the white dragon in their full forms, is that something you two would be interested in doing in the future, or any other shows that you have potentially in the works for stuff that you want to complete and compete in?
It's funny that you mentioned those two characters, because I have definitely had a conversation with Sahara over doing those two characters possibly.
And we've also met a cosplayer.
When we went to Otakon 2 years ago, one of the guys who won, I think he won runner-up for novice, did the full armor suit for the Red Dragon Emperor. He did a really good job too. But yeah, it's one of those things that we've looked at and we've been like, how feasible can we do this?
Right. And there's also things we look at and we go, I could do that, and I have time to do that. And then there's other ones we look at and we go, I could do that, but it's going to take like a year to build.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones that are like, I want to do that, but I don't have that skill yet. So I need to work on something to be able to do that skill.
But as far as things we're looking at right now, we primarily cosplay characters from anime because we primarily compete at anime conventions where you have to use a character from either an anime or a Japanese video game. That being said, we have definitely looked at doing Rocket Raccoon and Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy because they're awesome. We've looked at doing...
we have quite an extensive list.
Yeah, we have an extensive list of things we want to do. I'm trying to remember a few of them right now.
Stormtroopers,
Star
Wars.
Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah,
characters.
Destiny, Titans, and Warlocks.
New ones, Monster Hunter World.
Everyone's doing Monster Hunter World right now. And we sort of want to join that bandwagon. Really, we play Monster Hunter World and we love the game, and some of the outfits are really cool, and you look at them and you go, I can do that, or I want to do that, but boy, will that take a lot of time.
And one of our easier build options right now would be Mega Blaziken and Blaziken Mask from Pokemon X and Y, the animated series.
And I do know for a fact, and I think I posted this on our Facebook account, but the very first cosplay I ever did was Kakashi Hatake from Naruto, of course. And I retired that outfit several years ago after cosplaying him for 7 years. And he recently, at the beginning of Boruto and the end of Naruto Shippuden, became the 6th Hokage and got a new outfit. And I really like his new outfit. And I really like the character. So I am actually going to be making his 6th Hokage outfit.
And then we have a couple items that are currently like shelved right now because we're trying to figure out how we would build them, and that would be the patrol labors from Patlavar, and there are a couple other mechas. Really, mechas are complicated. We've done them before, but they're really complicated.
We apparently enjoy making really uncomfortable, complicated outfits that we're going to stand around in 14 hours a day and be miserable. That's what it comes down to.
We need more comfort.
With some of the shows that are out now, and I enjoy watching a lot of the simuldubs that Funimation and Sentai Filmworks put out, and one of the shows that I'm currently watching is Darling in the Franxx, and they have kind of the mecha Franks, I believe they're called, that they, a male and a female, hop in and they operate this machine to beat up on these creatures. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see any of Darling in the Franxx or not, but some of those machines that they use, I think, would fit under the mecha, and it'd be kind of funny to see you guys try to make these, because the main cast, all their Franks have their own different faces, their different personalities, their different looks, where other groups it's more organized. Everybody's Franks is exactly the same and things of that nature. So watching this, I think it would be fun to see you guys dress up as some of the Franks, including Starlitzia, which is the main character, 02 and Heroes combination, when they bring that one to life. Is that a show that you guys have seen or an idea that you would look into?
We definitely watched Darling in the Franxx, and all of the mechas are female.
we do enjoy Darling and Franxx. We're very familiar with it. We have not thought about doing those mechas.
Yes, I love the concept of Darling in the Franxx, and I love the artwork in it. The mechas themselves are although they are humanoid, they are definitely not anatomically conducive to humans, 90% of them. And they are also female, very female-looking mechas, which is something that I, at least, have not been looking at portraying at this point in time.
Yeah, you don't have to talk, and some of them, the males do talk in, so you could pretend to be Hero or the punk ass kid there. I forget what his name is. He's the wise guy who's I'm the greatest because I'm here now, and he's hooked up with a really snobby pigtailed girl.
Yep.
Zorome. So you can always pretend to be them talking in the Franks to each other.
Yes.
There's a way. See, my mind is really twisted, so there's a way of getting around the fact that they all look like girls. But what's your opinion on Darling in the Franxx? I didn't realize that I got as sucked into the show as I did until Anime Boston when I bought 3 pieces of artwork from the show. From 2 different artists. I bought 2 different 02 prints and a Ichigo print.
Yeah, I mean, we first started like every new season of anime. You start looking and watching the first episodes of anime and going, oh, I like this, or oh, I don't like that, or whatnot. And we definitely clicked on Darling in the Franxx. Wasn't thinking much of it until towards the very end of the first episode, where you see the control system for the mechas, and I went, this is fantastic. It's definitely, you can definitely tell it is animated by Studio Trigger. The artwork in it is great. The animation, the stylization is all very original. The story is very different than most other mechas, and I'm a huge mecha fan, so that was kind of refreshing to see. But yeah, I would say I right after the first episode, I was like, I want to see where this goes, and I've just enjoyed it.
I'm excited to see that it's a 24-episode series because we just watched episode 12 a couple of days ago, and I'm like, you can't end this here. There has to be more. And I looked it up. I'm like, thank God it's 24 episodes and they're continuing this because this show is amazing.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I turned it on and saw a 13th episode, and then a 14th episode, and then a 15th episode. So yeah, I'm very glad that it's not your typical 12 episode, which is good because there's no way you could really tell that story as in an enthralling way with only a 12 episode series. It definitely needs to be 24.
Character development and the story arc itself is taking so many interesting turns, and it's neat because you almost feel like you're growing with the characters as the show progresses through.
One of the things I've really enjoyed about it is trying to figure out, because there's not a whole lot of backstory given. It's like just hints and pieces given throughout the whole thing. Trying to figure out why the world is the way it is, why the characters are the way they are, why this difference in the adults and the children is so drastically different, and why the children are treated the way they do. I've really enjoyed trying to figure all that stuff out as I'm watching it.
Oh, definitely. And we have to go to our bottom of the hour break, but can you guys hang out for the last segment?
Definitely, yeah.
Awesome. So we'll have more with Hatake and Sahara right after these messages. You're listening to Anime-Zing Radio right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network.
I'm Chise from the Ancient Magus' Bride, and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio on the Blog Talk Radio Network.
And welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Doug Engler. We're excited to have the bonus half hour with Hatake and Sahara RK, the talented cosplaying duo that are good friends of ours, good friends of the shows, and we're excited that you guys can hang out with us tonight.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. We always enjoy coming on the show, and it's always nice to hear you say that we're amazing cosplayers.
We're in it for the praise.
You just come on because you enjoy all the compliments and the butt kissing, but you know, in all seriousness, I do mean it because we go to conventions as often as we go. You know, I could easily say in the last 4 years, my wife and I have probably averaged between 6 and 10 conventions a year, between attending, vending, and press. And it has only fluctuated here or there based on workload or now having Evie just from a couple of conventions that we wanted to attend late last year after she was born. But you get to see so many different cosplayers, so many different levels of expertise. Some are bought, some are made, many are made, some are made for other people. And you get to see all the different levels and the different quality of cosplay, and all the cosplays are great. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that, oh, that person's horrible because they made theirs in 15 minutes, as opposed to this person over here who took 300 man hours to make this dress. And everybody does an amazing job at the creations that they come up with based on everything from funds to time to skill level. And some people are exceptional with the stuff that they produce, where other people who have just as good work are like, damn, that's awesome. And I put you guys in that category of the things that you're able to create. You guys always have amazing outfits that you put together. So it always sounds like there's a lot of butt kissing coming on when I'm like, you guys are awesome. But I really mean that. I don't just say that because we're friends. I say it because I truly respect the skills and everything that you've created, which has helped lead to us becoming friends and, having the friendship that's lasted 4 years.
Well, like I said, we appreciate it because we are very harsh critics on ourselves. It's just always how we have been. Is we're sort of perfectionists, and we want everything to be perfect, and we want it to look right, and we want it to function right, and we do all that without any background in costuming or sewing or tailoring or any of that. We both went to school for science. We never took art classes. This is something that just kind of came out of our love for anime. We went, hey, we want to make one of these outfits, and it's been a road. It's been a journey. We've definitely improved since our very first outfits that we've made, which were made out of 2mm craft foam and kind of painted quickly and glued onto clothing. Strapped and Velcroed to what we most recently have done, which is the tiger and bunny outfits, which are all sorts of different types of EVA foams, molded and cut and sewn together in different ways, airbrushed and color and sealed, and all sorts of craziness, dyeing things.
Sewing techniques, super comfy.
Yeah, by far the most comfortable armor I've ever made. But definitely the most complex and the most time I've put into it.
Yeah, but we love getting the compliments because we're so harsh on ourselves. But the thing that really makes us happy is seeing other people who just love the characters and love that we've brought those characters to life.
Yeah, that's by far why we do it. Yeah, when you're walking around a convention and someone sees you and they may have never seen that character portrayed by a cosplayer before, and they come running over and are like, "Oh my God, you look amazing!" That is just awesome. We love seeing that reaction. It's kind of why we do it.
You make our day when we make your day.
There you go.
It's neat to hear it put that way, because I think a lot of people don't realize, how important that can be to cosplayers, because many cosplayers, everybody cosplays for their own personal reasons. Some are to compete, some are to escape everyday reality, which for most people just generally sucks, to put it bluntly. And cosplay is a good way of escaping whatever issues you have going on in life at that point in time. You can go to a convention, dress up as a character, pretend to be somebody else for a few hours a day or for a weekend or however long, but it gives you that mental break, the physical break, the emotional break from everyday reality. You're not escaping your problems because they'll be there after you take the outfit off, but it gives you that break to maybe have some fun, and then when you go back to whatever issues are going on, you could think of them or deal with them with a clearer head as opposed to just nonstop stressing out about it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a break from reality, which is really nice. And as Sahara mentioned, the best thing you can probably ever do for a cosplayer is to walk up, say, "Hey, I like your outfit. Can I have a photo?" Every cosplayer will just be stoked because you put so much work into it.
Oh, definitely, and that's one reason that I enjoy going to these conventions. And like I had mentioned earlier, we have cosplayers coming on who I don't know all that well. Got to meet them briefly at Anime Boston, but their cosplays were amazing. If you get me to run like five artist tables down to chase you down because you're wearing something that is awesome and I want a photo of it, that's that's saying something, because either A, I couldn't get your attention when you passed by the table, because when you're dealing in the dealer's room or artist alley and you're sitting behind the table, you have a limited space that you can see in many cases, and you can only call out to the people who are walking directly in front of you. If you see something elsewhere, it's not always easy to get to them, because by the time that you go to where they were, they're somewhere else, and you probably lost them in the zigzag of people. So I want a lot of cosplayers out there to know that as an artist alley vendor, I'm in no way, shape, or form an artist, because Lord knows I could mess up drawing a stick figure. That's why I leave all the artwork to my talented wife and proud sponsor Casey Creations. And it's always fun to help her out at the table and get to talk to people and see how people enjoy the artwork. Cosplay in itself is a form of art, and I've always wanted to give all cosplayers the opportunity to come on and have their 15 minutes of fame, or however you want to look at it, but I want to have them on so people can find out more about them and see the amazing work that they do.
I got nothing.
Yeah, you're right. Cosplay is definitely a work of art. Every cosplayer, no matter how much effort they put into it, is creating some level of art, and it's definitely something that, when you first approached us and asked us to come on the show, we were in shock. We're just two lowly cosplayers who are novices. But yeah, it's the fact that you like to bring cosplayers onto the show to showcase art is definitely something that I think is amazing. A lot of cosplayers don't necessarily get the credit they deserve, and I think every cosplayer has done a lot of work and should get that credit.
Oh, definitely. And I know the world that we live in today is so screwed up, because everybody is based off of looks. It seems like in the cosplaying community, it's easier for an attractive female to become a bigger name than it is for an extremely talented male who has an amazing cosplay, just based off of how the U.S. in general is. And I'm not saying as a whole or based on different demographics or things of that nature, but when you think of famous cosplayers, the first people that come to mind, Jessica Nigri, Yaya Han, and you don't. People know Adam Savage, but they don't know him as a cosplayer. They know him from MythBusters. So
Right.
It's easy to not put him into the cosplay category, even though he is very creative at making the cosplays that he likes to wear.
Yeah, it's that is the way it is. It's 90, or not 90. I'd say a large majority of the well-known cosplayers are female. There are guys out there like Bill Duran, Evil Ted, Andrew DFT. They all do amazing job, and they're all male. But yeah, definitely, when I'm thinking who's a big cosplay name, the first ones are definitely Yaya Han, Jessica Nigri, Kamui Cosplay, who all do an amazing job, and I follow all of their work. And I've met Yaya in person, and she is amazing in person, just like she's amazing online.
Yes, we were at KatsuCon with Yaya Han and Just Can You Agree and never ran into either one, partially because we had a table in Artist Alley, and partially because every time that I was able to get away from the Artist Alley to get to the dealer's room, they weren't at their tables. I think Yaya Han had a table and Jessica was just there. So I was never able to actually get a chance to talk with them because we were pulling double duty at Katsu last year with the table and doing press stuff. So that was quite crazy, quite fun, a beautiful location. That's a convention that we definitely want to get back to at some point. It probably won't be for another couple of years until Evie's older, but definitely one that we want to get back to. And there's so many good conventions out there that we want to go to. I know that we have talked in the past about some of the local New England conventions because there's so many of them now, and it's tough to make it to as many as you really want to go to. But are there shows coming up where people can find you guys at?
It's a good question. Our schedule is kind of in flux right now because of some of the conventions moving.
Yeah, so originally we were going to be at Anime North in Toronto, Memorial Day weekend, but due to some job conflicts, we are not attending that now. Our next one on the docket was going to be AAC in October, but that location and date has changed, and we are currently discussing on whether or not we will be attending it. Still would love to attend it. I like AAC. It's a very different atmosphere from Anime. But I don't know if the new date works for us or not.
Probably, whatever next one we go to, it's probably going to be in the fall. I have an extremely busy summer schedule with work this year.
Yeah. So we'd be looking at either Baku or Anime or AAC as far as local ones.
We were discussing some Canadian ones as well.
There were a couple of Canadian ones we were discussing. But currently, we don't have an answer for that. As soon as we know, we'll post it up on our Facebook page.
And how can people find you on Facebook and other social media sites?
So I am really bad at keeping Facebook up to date lately, but I'm trying to get back at being good about it. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hatake and Sahara. That's HATAKEANDSARA. However you spell Sahara, I don't remember.
SAHARA.
But at Hatake and Sahara Cosplay on Facebook. And then I have a Twitter account that I actively read. I don't actively post. I need to get better at that. But that would just be HS Cosplay.
I think
so you're like me.
Yeah.
You're like me with Twitter. I read everything, but I don't post a damn thing.
Yeah, I have Twitter specifically to follow Matt Mercer, Sam Riegel, Liam O'Brien, Josh Grell, all these voice actors. But yeah, so we have a Twitter and a Facebook, and the Facebook is the most active one. It is most active around and during conventions for us. I am trying to be good and get back to doing a weekly update, probably on Fridays.
And our Facebook page has links to all of our other social media sites. They're not as active just because of how busy our lives tend to be lately. But you can go to like DeviantArt and see some of our past work. That's under Sahara Cosplay. We do have a Tumblr page. We're not really active on it.
We have a World Cosplay account.
We do have a World Cosplay account. But yeah, the best place is to hit us up on Facebook.
Basically, just put in our shameless plugging section and stretch it out for a little bit, and because usually when it comes to the end of the show, it's like, oh God, we have 30 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find you now. But I wanted to just give you guys plenty of time to talk about that, and I know with like AAC and all the issues they had, it was great to sit down and talk with the president of AAC and find out what was going on, because you heard a lot of stories about them having to move from Manchester and find a new place. They almost canceled AAC this year because the hotel contacted them in December to tell them we're not going to be ready with renovations in time for your convention, so you can't have it. And so that left them struggling for like 3 months to find a new location. And she teetered about not doing one this year. And I'm happy that they're doing one. I know a lot of people have been upset about a price hike, the cut number of guests, and a cap on attendance. And she hated having to do all of that, but she said it gives her a chance to sit back and revamp AAC to make it even better next year when they can go back to their full docket of guests that they want to have. She told me some of the people that they were trying to line up for this year when they had to cut back. Of course, J. Michael Tatum and Brandon are going to be back. They're there every year. They're staples of AAC. But they have other people that they're looking at. They've got emails sent out to a few people, and they might even be in contact with us about potential future guests through our contact list of talented voice actors that we have been able to be in contact with and become friends with, and who want to come to New England, because there are so many great voice actors out there who have yet to do a New England area convention. And I've been pushing a lot of the conventions up here, trying to get them up, because they want to come up and they want to see the fans up here. And they've heard so many stories of great times at AAC or Anime Boston or Anime Maine or Baku, from Anthony Bowling or Monica Rial or Terry Doty or Greg Ayers, some of the great names who have been to multiple New England area conventions, and they're talking to Megan Shipman and Morgan Berry and a lot of the younger voice actors who they have a ton of great roles out there, but people don't really know who they are. They're not the big names of a Tatum or a Monica Rial or a Havicorn or a Vic Mignogna or whatnot. But they deserve to be out there and to see the fans just as much, in my opinion, because they are just amazingly talented people. And
yeah,
coming up next week, we are excited because we have a double voice actor show. We have an up-and-coming voice actress from Sasso Studios, the YouTube channel. She has voiced Knuckles and Amy in the fan dub of Sonic the Hedgehog on Sasso Studios on YouTube channel. She's also has some other work that she's been doing with other studios on YouTube. So we're excited to be welcoming back Megan Negrelli to the show in the co-host seat. And our guest is going to be Funimation voice actress Bryn April. And it's going to be fun to have Bryn back on the show. We haven't talked with her since, I think it was October of last year. I have to go back and look, because I think last time she was on the show was the New Game special that we did October 15th last year. So we're excited to have Bryn back on with us, chatting. It's going to be fun catching up with her. And so good things coming up on the horizon here for Anime-Zing Radio. Right after that, because I can turn the page on my schedule book now to the next section, we have Emily Druin from KidsCon coming up on May 6th. She's going to be talking about a kids dedicated Comic-Con. This is a full convention, one-day show on Sunday, May 6th that's dedicated to promoting the fun and excitement of Comic-Con to children. There's a lot of kids activities. There's going to be great cosplayers on hand. That the convention itself is going to be June 10th. I know you guys have a busy schedule, especially in the summertime, but it's going to be in Nashua, New Hampshire, so it's going to not be too, I don't think that's too far from you guys. I think you're New Hampshire based.
we are. Yep, Nashua is not that far away from us.
So it might be something to look into, to check out. You could show up in Star Fox gear or something of that nature. I'm sure the kids would love to see it. Even some of the adults, I'm sure, would love to see it. We're going to be vending there. We're excited about going back for the second year with KC Creations, and we have a table. We're happy to help promote KidsCon because it's a great time. It's a lot of fun to see looks on the kids' faces when they get to see some of their favorite superheroes and things of that nature. May 13th, we're going to have Sailor Scone cosplay coming on. May 20th is open right now. We have a tentative guest. I've got to get back in contact with them to confirm. Otherwise, I've got to find somebody to fill that void. May 27th is our My Hero Academia special. And I know that season 3 has just come out. I've got to go and finish season 2 so I can catch up to season 3. And my wife told me that there is a poop joke in season 3, so I need to catch up so I can hear this because I guess it's what everybody who heard it said it was very unexpected. And
Great. It is amazing.
So you guys have seen it too. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So I've got to catch up to date by May 27th for the special. We are excited because we have 3 talented voice actors who have confirmed for the show, including Morgan Berry, who voices 13, one of the teachers, Jessica Kavanaugh, who is Deku's mom, and also Anthony Bowling is going to be joining us. So we're excited about having 3 talented voice actors coming on and hanging out with us for that show. We have inquiries out to multiple others from the show to see if they want to come on and join us, and I'm hoping that we can get at least one more to join us, including maybe Justin Briner, who voices Deku, or Greeley, or Clifford Chapin. I've been trying to get Clifford Chapin to come on the show for a while. It's just he is so busy between producing and voice acting that it's trying to get time together is absolutely nuts sometimes, and I have nothing but the most respect for these people who wear many hats through the Funimation building, everything from the script writers to the directors to the voice actors and sound people and everybody involved in the simuldubs. My hats off to you and thank you all for the work that you do. I'm sure you guys also can back me up with the thank you to everybody that's affiliated with creating these amazing simuldubs and even the Japanese originals that help entertain us for a half hour here or hours on end if you sit down and binge watch a whole series.
Yeah, anime is a big part of our life, and without it, life would be very different. It's definitely helped here get through some hard times and keep us entertained and make friendships. And so everyone involved, from the voice actors to the script writers to the original concept creators and even the manga artists that have started many of these shows that become anime, it's definitely a big thank you to all of them.
And I know we only have a couple of minutes left here, but once again, I want to thank you guys for coming on, especially on shorter notice than we would like after having a cancellation. We do wish Jessica Kavanaugh the best with the play that she was asked to be a part of, and I have always said especially when it comes to voice acting guests or any guest in general, I appreciate the fact that they want to take the time, like you guys did, to come and join us tonight. And if things come up, I know life happens, especially for a voice actor. You get the roles when you get the roles. You get the money when you can get the money. This is just something that we appreciate, that you can take the time to come and hang out with us for an hour, hour and a half, whatever the case may be. And much like you guys have busy lives, I thank you guys for taking the time to come on and hang out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. We always appreciate being on, and you definitely know how to get in touch with us.
And I thank you for the friendship that we've had for many years now and many years to come, and knowing that next summer we're originally planning on moving this summer, but we pushed it back a year so we can focus on saving up the money to be better situated when we make the move to upstate New York, and that's upstate New York. But other conventions that I know that we're going to be attending, that you guys are always welcome to look at going to as well. Vermont Comic-Con, which is coming up, Plattsburgh Comic-Con in upstate New York. We're going to be vending both of those conventions. Big thank you to Sam Chase and Jason Moulton for the conventions that they put on multiple times a year. I think both of them have 3 cons a year now that they put on. Sam has 2 in Saratoga Springs and then Plattsburgh, and Jason has Green Mountain Comic Expo in Barre, Vermont, which just passed, not this weekend, but last weekend. He's got Vermont Comic-Con coming up in September and Vermont Horror Con in October. So some great shows, awesome people that we've had the honor of being friends with and having on the show and attending their conventions and everything. Um, but we are definitely just about out of time. I can't believe how fast this time goes when I have awesome people to chat with.
Time flies. Time flies.
Does it feel like you guys have been hanging out with us for 90 minutes already?
No.
I'm like, I can't believe that it's that the show. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, we've got like 30 seconds. So I want to thank you guys again for coming on and hanging out with us tonight.
Thank
Of
you,
course,
as always.
And thank you to the listeners out there who have tuned in, whether you come into our chat room, whether you're listening to us via mobile app, whether you're listening to us on the archive. I thank you for taking the time to go and back and listening to the show, listening to me ramble for a half hour or whatnot. On behalf of Anime-Zing Radio, everybody here affiliated with the show, I want to wish you an awesome week. Have a safe and happy week. Happy birthday, as I said, to anybody who's got birthdays this week or coming up throughout the rest of April. We'll see you next Sunday here with Megan Negrelli and Brent April. This has been Anime-Zing Radio on the Blog Talk Radio Network.